Are you ready for the Low Blows Network?
They finally gave me my own podcast.
Gerry comes to the Low Blows Network. One of the biggest legends of the Irish wrestling scene, Gerry talks to his wrestling friends and beyond about the hobbies in their lives that they're most nerdy about in Talk Nerdy to Me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Talk Nerdy to Me with your host, Gerry. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a weird one this week because we don't have the bearded wonder himself, Dave, with us. He's not with me. It's a really strange, really weird. Because he's not just by my side. Me stroking his lovely, long, red, hand-out beard. Really weird. And we don't even have his sound effects with us. It's a strange one, but the show must go on. So this week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about something that people are going to be going crazy in the cinema about right now. And that is Endgame. Now, we're not going to be specifically talking about Endgame. We're going to be talking about Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. And we have an absolute expert in the studio today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the queen of Irish wrestling. It's Katey Harvey.
Hi, can I put a disclaimer on this?
You can do, yes.
I'm not an expert. I just really enjoy the films.
Kind of like, I'd imagine a lot of people that would listen to the podcast, you know, all five of them, would be big into the MCU. But let's go into it, okay? Recently, you know, we've heard you on the main podcast, and now we've heard you on the Game of Thrones podcast. You came into Game of Thrones very late in Game of Thrones, to the point where some people were unhappy with you because you didn't have to wait 2 years to watch Season 8. You only had to wait a couple of days, a couple of weeks.
I had to wait 3 hours.
3 hours?
3 hours. I timed it really well.
You finished the last series, and 3 hours later you watched the new series?
Yeah, stayed up and watched it, yeah.
I hate you so much.
I know, but ironically, I know the person you're referring to.
Yes.
Valkyrie, Eva.
Yes.
She's the reason I started watching Game of Thrones. So, as some people know, I broke my arms in January and I ended up laid up in my mum's house for weeks. Like, couldn't work, couldn't leave the house, whatever. So she literally came to my house with a box set, with a bag of food, and goes, I know you don't like Game of Thrones, because I tried to watch it once before and I didn't like it. She goes, you can't stop me. And she put the DVD on and literally sat with me, took my phone away, and made me sit and watch 3 episodes in a row until I was like, actually, yeah, this is really good.
Valkyrie is an absolute fucking hero.
Not only that, she's been documenting things I've been saying while watching it, and she's been recording my reactions like a little creep.
So she recorded your reaction to the Red Wedding. Please say she did.
No, see, the Red Wedding was a weird one because I was here recording with Rick and Cian, and they were like, what episode are you on? And I was like, oh, I'm on Season 3, Episode 7. And they were like, and how you find it? I was like, I just love Rob Stark so much. He's just the best man in the world. And they were like, are you watching it when you go home? And I was like, yeah, I'll probably watch an episode. Now, he gives a text later. And I was like, oh, why? Yeah, no, I watched it alone at 2 a.m. in the dark by myself, sobbing.
That episode for a lot of people was very shocking. I think there was one episode that was a bit more shocking than that. It was the Viper versus the Hound, because you don't expect how that fight ends, because you think, Oberyn is going to beat him, and then he trips him up, and then he starts pushing his eyes, and someone's going to, Jesus, it's a melon.
Now, that was the one episode I'd seen before.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Phil, my boyfriend, watched it from the beginning, and I just walked in one day and he's like, you'd love Game of Thrones, just give it a chance. And I sat down and that was the episode I watched.
Oh.
Didn't like it. Now, in fairness, I shouldn't have watched a random episode in the middle of the run, but I was like, this is shite.
A lot of people, if you just watch something like that, you're like, oh, no, I'm not really into that. You have to get the backstory.
But even just watching the first episode, I think I did need to watch the first 3 to hook me.
Well, in terms of, you were late to the party in terms of Game of Thrones, but how, in terms of the MCU, and the reason we're here today, how early or late were you to the party on that one? Did you watch them from the very beginning when Iron Man came out, or was it a couple of years later? I'll give it a go. Yeah,
no. In terms of films, I think I've seen every single one of them in the cinema. Yeah, I've seen them all. And recently, I've been making sure I go to the midnight showings of them all because I just really didn't want to run the risk of spoilers. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much since the first midnight showing started, I've been going to the midnight showings.
Midnight showings for these films are fantastic. Now, obviously, they can be quite difficult. You've been in work that day, you're very tired, you just want to go home and relax, but you're like, no, I have to go and watch Iron Man or Thor or Captain America. Well, for you, Captain America, because he is your favourite character, isn't he?
Oh, he is, yeah. That's my favourite franchise of films. And he's actually not even my favourite character. My favourite character is Bucky Barnes. But I just love his whole relationship with Cap, so that's kind of what makes them my favourite films.
In terms of the films, we started with Iron Man 2, went into Thor, Captain America, but Captain America prequel, basically, to the other ones, and then we go into the Avengers then. How did you feel, you'd seen Iron Man, you liked Iron Man, presumably you liked Iron Man?
Didn't really like Iron Man. I liked the first one, didn't like 2 or 3. I don't really like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I know he's very decisive, and see, even in wrestling, in Game of Thrones, in everything I watch, I am a dream for the booker or the writer because I always root for the blue-eyed babyface. I don't know what it is. Marketing works really easily on me. Advertising. If you tell me someone is good and pure and I should like them, I will fall in love with them.
so you've got Captain America, you've got John Cena, you've got Hulk Hogan, and
maybe no. I don't tolerate racism, so maybe not Hulk Hogan.
Okay, maybe not Hulk Hogan.
Maybe not Hulk Hogan.
We've got like the likes of Jon Snow because he's
yeah.
good.
All the Starks, it's just I tend to gravitate towards the good and pure characters. Yeah. Sometimes shades of grey. I love a redemption arc. So if someone starts out bad but they redeem themselves, I'm all over that. I've never been one for like the cool heel or nah, never been much into it.
So I'm assuming that's why you love Bucky so much, because obviously he started off as his Captain America's childhood friend. For anyone who hasn't seen any of the MCU, where the fuck have you been? But if you haven't seen it, this is your spoiler warning right now. And God, if you have never seen them, watch them now. But in the first Captain America, you've got Steve Rogers, and he's this small, skinny kid who's never amounted to much, and all he wants to do is go and fight for his country. And he has a childhood friend called Bucky Barnes. And they go to war together. He gets this serum and he becomes Captain America. And they go to war together. So he was basically a baby face through and through. And then, you got that fall from the train. I did get that right, didn't I? He fell from the train. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's gone. You think he's dead. And then all of a sudden he comes back, Winter Soldier. How did you feel when he came back? And did you like him as the normal Bucky Barnes, or did you like him when he had the lovely silver arm?
I liked him all the way through. I loved when they went to the army together, and he was just like the big brother, because Steve was just like a little nerd, and he had a hard time, and he started, even when he was skinny before he became Captain America, he relied on using his brains and his charm and his niceness to get by. And like Bucky gravitated towards that because he has a good heart as well. Yeah. So yeah, I liked him even before the turn into Winter Soldier.
So he comes back and he fights Captain America, and then of course we find out in Winter Soldier that he is Bucky Barnes. You're like, oh my God! And of course, I had no idea of I've never read the comics, and I know a lot of people had. So I had no idea, and I'm assuming you didn't have any idea that was Bucky. Or did you look at it and go, oh my God, that's Bucky, or did you know? No,
I've never read the comics either. It's only since I've watched the films I haven't read the comics, but I've read like the cliff notes, because I'm kind of curious to see how much they took from the comics, and the different directions that they diverged from the comics. But yeah, I had no idea watching the films that it was going to be Bucky. I thought that's it, Bucky's kind of gone, he's done. Yeah. I wasn't expecting him to play such a big role all the way through the Captain America films, and especially not in the Avenger films in general. And he's been quite a big presence in them.
He really has. When it comes to the third Captain America, okay? And I think let's look at the trilogies that we've had. We've had the 3 big trilogies, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. I think out of all of them, Captain America's been the only one that all 3 have been universally well received. You've got Iron Man, the first one a lot of people liked, the second one it kind of dropped in, and I put my hand up. Iron Man's my favourite. Iron Man and Thor be my favourites. But both of their second films kind of dipped down in quality, or a lot of people believe that. But when it came to Captain America, it just seemed to be good every time. So do you think that was, do you think that was the acting? Do you think that was the characters? Like, everyone just loved Captain America because, like that, he's pure and he's good. To the point where, we see him in Avengers, and he goes, everyone kind of gives Thor's hammer a go. And then Thor gets that worried look in his face because he moves the hammer. And you're like, oh shit, is he worthy? Is he that good, that pure of heart that he's actually worthy to pick up the hammer? But then, so 2 out of 3 films, they're universally well received. So why do you think they were so well liked?
I think it's a combination of the strength of the characters and the strength of the story. So for me, Captain America has the best origin story. Like, for example, Captain Marvel. I wasn't crazy about that because I just didn't like the origin story. I don't know what, it just didn't click with me. But that's a whole other issue I'll probably get on to about Captain Marvel and her role she's going to play in Endgame. But yeah, Captain America has the strongest origin story for me, and the fact that then reverberates through so much of the MCU as well. There's just still so many callbacks to the Captain American films. Even like Red Skull in Infinity War, you know, all these reappearances, and yeah, just stronger characters. Was Captain America the first one Nick Fury? No, he was in it. No, I'm confusing myself. I was like, when did Nick Fury come into it? And I was like, no, that was definitely earlier than Captain America.
Nick Fury was in the first Iron Man. He was end
post-credits
scene.
Yeah.
He was in that one. So he has this presence. Captain America has this presence about him. He's always good, like to the point where he gives out to people language, and you're like, oh God, come on! Like, now I love Iron Man, absolutely love Iron Man because of his cockiness and the billionaire philanthropist line that he has with Captain America in Avengers. There's just something about Tony Stark that I love. And you talk about redemption arcs, and for Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., this was his redemption. And he had been in prison, he had drugs and alcohol and whatnot, and he got an opportunity. And it was a big risk for Marvel to do this movie, because they didn't know whether it was going to be well received. They didn't know whether he would be well received, but of course it made billions, and then he went on to create this complete universe from the origin then of Iron Man and then on. So then we get to the Avengers, and they all come together. So in terms of the Avengers movies, you've got 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, we've now got 4, Endgame, which is out as of right now. As of this recording, it's out, and I know you're going to see it tonight.
Yes.
And just so you know, I've already seen it. Yes.
How?
I can't go into secret things and whatnot.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
No spoilers from me, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to hear any spoilers from me. I'm hoping that by the time people listen to this, you will have gone and seen it and whatnot, but you won't get any spoilers from me. And Katie, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
Everybody dies.
This is another Rob Stark situation where I talk about my love for Bucky for 2 hours and then he's gone.
In terms of Endgame, from start to finish, fantastic film. Absolutely fantastic film. I won't say any more.
Okay.
But you've got the 3...
Because I haven't even watched the trailers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I've stayed away from trailers. I was actually annoyed I seen the promotional posters where, the black and white ones where the people... Because that even told us, like, Shuri didn't survive the snap,
Mm-hmm.
And just there was too many... It threw up too many possibilities. Like, why was Loki on a poster? He died at the start of the film.
Yeah, I did find that strange, but I can't really say anything because you haven't seen the film.
Yep.
So I'm not going to say more. But you look at the very first one and where they were first brought together, and I think that Battle of New York was absolutely fantastic. And but throughout the various films, there's always been moments where you think, oh God, Captain's going to die, or Iron Man is going to die, or someone's going to die. Have you felt that kind of, I won't say urgency, but like, oh my God, are they really going to kill him off in Infinity War? Or are they really going to kill him off in Age of Ultron? Were you ever scared for Bucky or for Captain America?
Oh yeah, like all the way through. I never thought Bucky would die because, like, in my head I was thinking rationally, and I was thinking like they're going to reboot the Avengers now. And Bucky in the comics takes on the mantle of Captain America. And I was like, they could follow that. They could have Steve Rogers die a heroic death, and this fully finishes Bucky's redemptive arc to take on the mantle, So it kind of erased the Winter Soldier completely. So I did always think that Cap was in danger of dying, but Bucky would live to take on the mantle. I still kind of think that could happen. Because just with Endgame, I kind of think anyone who died in Infinity War is coming back, and they're going to do an L switcheroo, and we've the new Avengers going forward.
Okay.
But that also could be too obvious. So it's a tough call.
I can't really comment.
I know, and I try not to look at your face, so like you can't say anything.
No, I am stony faced. You literally will not get anything out of me.
But no, I have kind of had it in the pit of my stomach that Cap is going to die, and I'm going to have to say goodbye. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not as devastating as like my favourite Thrones character dying. Because he's had a long life, he's done a lot of good things, and if he dies, it's going to be heroically, and I feel like it's going to be on his own terms.
Okay.
So I'm okay if he has to go.
Now, why is it that you believe he's going to die, though? Like, because a lot of people, when it comes to Endgame, you're looking at your 6 originals, and the 6 originals were some of the only ones that survived the snap in Infinity War. And a lot of people are looking at them going, you're going to have to kill some of them off. But why is it essential that they have to be killed off?
I just think even outside Marvel, we're conditioned to that now. Yeah. You know, we're conditioned, even in wrestling, we're conditioned to have that big build-up, you know, to have it taken away from us. And like, my background is actually in TV and film production, so I used to write a lot of scripts and stuff for college. So it really annoys me because I actually wish I hadn't done the course because I don't work in that industry now. But sometimes I still think the way I learned to write scripts, the way, like, sometimes I'll have a film pieced out in my head. So sometimes, not I can tell how a film's going to go, but, like, I'll come up with theories that are sometimes correct because I'm like, well, if I was writing this is how I would do it.
Exactly.
Which is why I love Thrones so much, because that threw that rule book out the window when Ned Stark died. So I think that's why I gravitate towards that so much. So yeah, it's just a feeling of having the pit in my stomach, kind of based on that background, based on watching the films, based on how I think a story should flow in my head, that I think Cap is the one to go.
Okay. So, we know you love Winter Soldier, we know you love Captain America. Let's say they were never brought into the MCU. Let's say we're going to put them... No, we're not, Kevin Feige, I think it's Kevin Feige, says, no, we're not bringing them in. Who would you gravitate to now? Who would be your number one?
I love Thor, and I love Black Widow.
Yeah, I have to say now, I'm on the same wavelength. Obviously, I'm an Iron Man guy. When it comes to, there was this, we were going to have this big debate. Unfortunately, we never got to do it, but it was going to be Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. And we know what team you were going to be on, and I was going to be Team Iron Man. And when it comes to, he's just, for me, just absolutely love Iron Man. But again, if you take him away, you take Steve Rogers away and take Tony Stark away, you've got Thor. Just a badass, absolute badass. Has had somewhat of a redemption arc. He was just a petty little child that thought he could do anything, and then he finally became worthy to be King of Asgard and to have the hammer. So he'd be your number one. But then you've got Black Widow, and I don't know enough about her. I want to know more about her. Yeah,
but the reason why I like her is because she's human. Surrounded by a world of superheroes, she never is unsure of herself. She, always knows what to do. She can look after herself. I just think she's really interesting in that way. Yeah. And Hawkeye as well. I was never big on Hawkeye until recently. I'm really excited to see if he comes back as Ronan tonight as well. But but yeah, I really like the human aspect to her. I wasn't sure how I felt about the romance storyline with Bruce Banner.
Okay.
Part of me was like, they're just shoehorning in a romance storyline because she's the girl in the group. And they did something similar with Scarlet Witch and Vision, but I think their relationship works for some reason, or maybe it just wasn't as shoved in her face or felt as tacked on. But then the interaction Black Widow and Bruce Banner had when Bruce Banner came back, I thought was really sweet, and I warmed to the relationship. But at first I was just like, I loved her because they didn't treat her like the token girl, and then the romance made me feel like, oh great, she's the girl, so she has to go out with one of the guys, I don't feel like that anymore, and especially now with Black Panther, they've brought in so many strong female characters. I don't feel like they're tokens anymore.
The Black Panther series, I have to say, has brought in the most badass women in. Now, unfortunately, my knowledge of their names, because a lot of the names are quite difficult to pronounce, absolutely badass. And you've got, I can never remember her name, but she's in The Walking Dead as well. Now, she's completely bald in Black Panther, and she has the dreadlocks in The Walking Dead, but she absolutely kicks ass in Black Panther and in Infinity War.
There was an amazing scene at the end of Infinity War where the only people on screen were the female warriors from Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, and there was one other one as well. But it was all strong female characters, and I was like, this is really cool. This is really cool that a 10-year-old girl is going to the cinema and that's what she's seeing,
Well, it's like, it's finally that. Because, it's always been Batman or Superman or Iron Man.
Even as a child, like, I played with Star Wars dolls, you know, because that's what there was. Yeah, I loved Princess Leia, but there wasn't someone I could properly latch onto. Like, if we think of wrestling terms, like, the first person I latched onto was Lita, because she was a girl who I could see myself being friends with, you know, or who I admired, I looked up to, and I was like, I want to be like her. Yeah. So for me, I'm really happy that the MCU is bringing so many strong female characters in, not just for older people like me, but more for kids.
In terms of the female characters, you know, we've got such a strong cast of women now. You now have Captain Marvel, and you weren't, you know, you said it earlier on that you weren't overly impressed with Captain Marvel, kind of where she began. But where do you think we're going to see something better from her? Do you think? Because I personally believe that particular film was a bit rushed.
Yeah,
it wasn't well thought out. It was like a filler film. Let's just explain where she came from, and then we can deal with it afterwards.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they've done. So, do you think now, you know, she's going to be in Endgame? Of course, you know, we don't know what happens in Endgame. Well, you don't know. But then, in the future, how do you see things going? In terms of the female characters, you know, you've got a large amount of them now.
Yeah.
Let's try and do something then. What would you like to see?
I'd like to see them just... Again, I keep comparing it to the wrestling because, like, that's my background. It's like, you don't want to see them announced as women's matches anymore. You just want, this next match is for one fall. I want it to be similar. I don't want it to be... Okay, I know she's DC, but remember the fuss when Wonder Woman came out because she was a female superhero? It was a deadly film. It's actually, even though I love Marvel, it's probably in my top 3 superhero films.
Wow.
I love it. I love the Wonder Woman film.
I have to say, I would kind of agree with you there. It is a really, really badass film.
Oh, it's deadly. Like, that battle scene where she's just going across that, like, I cried. Like, I just thought that was amazing. What was my point? I just got distracted thinking about Wonder Woman crossing the battlefield.
We were talking about where do you see kind of the female...
Oh, yeah. So I hope in the future it's not like, oh my God, this really big female-fronted film is coming out. I hope it's like, oh my God, this superhero film looks deadly. And, like, gender isn't brought into it at all. Yeah. But to get to that point, you have to go through the... making a fuss of it first.
You have to make a fuss, and then when it comes down to it, it will be as marquee as Iron Man or Thor.
Yeah.
It'll be Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It's Captain Marvel. You don't have to specify that it's a woman's film or a woman superhero. Yeah. It's Captain Marvel because that's what it is.
Yeah, and we have already seen that because Captain Marvel had... I don't want to say stigma because it's not the right word, but it didn't have the same, like, attention that, oh, this is a female-fronted superhero. It was, no, she's a really important person in the MCU and she's going to play a really big role in this film, so we're giving her this film to set it up.
I think, though, when Captain Marvel first came out, a lot of people that were associated with the film tried to make it out that she was the very first female superhero that has our own film. And like, well, no, that's not the case. You know, you did have Wonder Woman.
Catwoman.
You know, you have Catwoman.
Yeah.
You have, like you said, Star Wars. You had the new Star Wars. The main character in it is Rey, so she's basically a superhero in herself. So she wasn't the very first... It wasn't very first female superhero, but maybe you know they're trying to just take glory away from other ones. They're like, oh, we were the first to do it. Clearly, you weren't the first to do it. But you've got Captain Marvel, and you've got all these fantastic female characters. Who you know? Would you like to see certain team ups? Or would you like to see like a couple of tag teams getting together in the MCU?
When I was reading up on the comics, there's actually a vein in the comics that has Bucky and Black Widow as a couple.
Wow.
And as soon as I read that, I was like, that is so interesting.
That would be badass.
Yeah, because because I love both characters. But again, as you're saying, we don't know too much about Black Widow. Mm-hmm. We don't actually know too much about Bucky once we separate him from Steve Rogers. So there's just so much that could be done there in terms of like stories and plots and stuff because they're well-known characters, but they haven't had their whole thing sketched out, their whole backstory sketched out. You know, their personalities aren't fully fleshed out. So there's a lot of leeway there with them, for example.
I think you're right in the fact that we don't know much about either. You know, they kind of came into it. Obviously, we saw a little bit of it with Bucky in the beginning, but what happened between the 40s and the 2000s? You know, we got a little bit. We found out that, unfortunately, he'd been brainwashed, and he became basically an assassin. And unfortunately, he killed Iron Man's parents. You know, and that's why Iron Man went a bit crazy. We're going to get back to that now in a second, but in terms of you've got a character like Bucky, that we don't know much about, and you've got a character like Black Widow we don't know much about either. Personally, I'd like to see a prequel. Or a prequel, at least with Black Widow.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's been rumours circulating for years and years. Are we going to get it? Are we not going to get it? And they have announced that there is a Black Widow movie coming. But now they've kind of changed that, and they're not specifying whether it's a movie or whether it's a series.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd love a series.
Yeah.
You get a lot more out of it.
There is a lot of legs in series. And I actually watch more series than films now.
Yeah.
Like, I do have an unlimited pass to the cinema, but I think I've been twice since January because my focus has been getting through Game of Thrones, you know, and all the other shows that I watch. And the cinema has become less important to me, which is kind of sad, but TV shows are more accessible. And, you know, if you've had a long day at work, maybe you don't want to go outside to the cinema. You want to get in your jammies and, you know, get some ice cream and watch a TV show. Yeah. So yeah, I think a TV series would be amazing as well.
Well, you see, obviously Marvel is owned by Disney. Well, the main MCU is owned by Disney, and they are needing content for their Disney Plus, which is the TV package that they're going to be bringing out to rival Netflix. So they're going to need stuff. So I'm going to talk about another rumored show that we're going to have that's been rumored, and it's the Bucky Falcon show. That's been rumored for Plus. Is that something you'd be on board with?
Is that not confirmed? I thought it was confirmed.
I'm actually not sure whether it's confirmed or not. It is.
Yeah,
ish. I know a couple of guys. Actually, know one guy. I'm not gonna name names, but I know one guy that's going to be working on the series.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of up in the air himself as to whether it's actually going to be happening or not, because they've done 100%. But there's so much that they could do in terms of characters. You know, you could have a Thor series, or not Thor series, Hulk series, because we did have 2 Hulk movies, but they don't really tie into the MCU. They are part of the MCU, but they don't tie into it. So I would like to see a little bit more about Hulk. Would you like to see more with Hulk and Black Widow, or do you think, let's finish that off now and leave it to bed?
See, Hulk is an interesting one because I didn't really like the Hulk films. I always think he's better as a guest star in someone else's film. Yeah. So I think a TV series could go the same way. Now, I love the original Hulk TV series with Lou Ferrigno. Like,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, like deadly. But you can't do that kind of campy series again because it doesn't tie into the MCU, I don't think.
No.
It would be hard to do again. Yeah. So I think, the Hulk as a guest star in other people's series is a better way to go.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you about one particular movie now, okay? And for a lot of people, this was the pinnacle. Before Infinity War, of course, and now possibly Endgame, whether people like it or whether they don't like it. This was the pinnacle of what the MCU was, and it was absolutely brilliant. That was Civil War. Absolutely fantastic movie, start to finish, centered around the Sokovia Accords and whether they were going to bring in this registration, whether you have to register, whether you have these powers and whatnot. You've got Bucky back in it. He returns and he starts off the film a bit of a heel, and then we see that it's not his fault. It's really not his fault. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit, and we're going to go to the airport scene. Mm-hmm. And just for me, best battle in the MCU, bar none. What do you think about that? Yeah,
this entire film is probably my favourite in the entire MCU. That airport scene is unbelievable, and I thought it was going to be a struggle to introduce so many characters and to give every character the time they deserved, because you've a lot of big personalities in there, and you'd worry someone like Ant-Man who would only think of one film out at the time might get kind of swallowed up, but I thought they did it so well, and the little bits of humour, that's what I love about the Marvel films. They're action, but I love the humour. That's what sets them apart from the DC films for me, is humour. I thought they did it so excellently. It was just, it's just epic, you know. That is literally the only word to describe it.
It's exactly what it was, because you've got 2 sides, and they're all heroes. They're all good guys, but they're fighting for a different cause now. They're fighting for 2 very different reasons. Absolutely loved the ending of that fight between Winter Soldier and Captain America versus Iron Man. Me being a big Iron Man guy, I shit my pants at that scene. Thinking, they're going to kill him. Yeah. Oh no, please, Captain, no. You're supposed to be good. Don't do it. Don't kill Tony. Don't. Yeah. I shit myself watching. When you saw that, do you think, is this where Cap kind of loses it?
Yeah, I did worry about that, and I was like, oh God, how am I going to handle this? Like, because the reason I loved Civil War is because it made me think. Yes, it was an action film. Yes, it was a superhero movie, but at the core of it, it was a political film.
Yeah.
You know, and I do take an interest in politics and American politics because. Again, before film production, I was in UCD studying politics.
Oh, wow.
So I have
learning so much.
Yeah,
today.
I know. I went to college a lot. So I just found it really interesting the fact that both were right, both had their reasons, but it was still this big clash of ideals at the core, and the fact that they had been a team, but just one thing could split them completely in half. Yeah. And again, like we talk about redemption, like Iron Man, that's when I started to warm up to Iron Man. Even though I was Team Cap, I love the fact that when he was confronted with, you know, how weapons had killed people's families and the actual human effect they'd had, it changed his mind completely. You know, it took him down a peg. It made him more human to me, and more accountable. So that's why I love that film.
Yeah.
That whole core. It wasn't even a fight between good and evil. It was a fight between which is the better good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was brother versus brother. It wasn't like bad guy versus good guy. It was brother versus brother, and you think, you know, whoever wins, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Because if somebody kills someone else, you're going to lose a beloved character.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, thank God we didn't lose anyone in that film. But absolutely, by far, I think, and I think you think as well, the best Marvel film to date.
Yeah.
Well, until you see Endgame and whether you believe it's
Absolutely.
the best or not. So let's move on now. We have the fantastic news that Disney have bought Fox, and they now have more extended universe that they can add in. So you've got the likes of Fantastic Four. You've got the likes of Wolverine and the X-Men and all coming in. Now the X-Men have one more movie, and then they're finished in terms of their separation. Have you watched the X-Men movies? Are you a fan of it?
I have watched them all. I'm not a huge fan.
Okay.
I like the most recent one. I don't know. I just find them hard to follow, to be honest. I find they reboot themselves constantly.
Far too much. Far
Yeah.
too much.
So it's just for me, if I have to think that hard about the timeline, who's who, what's going on, it takes the enjoyment out of it for me. Not that the Marvel films are simple. They're not. But they're logical.
Yeah.
You know? So I do have some superheroes I like from the X-Men universe. Quicksilver I love, but he's already been killed off in the MCU. And I actually prefer the Quicksilver they had in the X-Men films. Yeah. So it's like how are you even going to do that? The fact that you have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in both universes.
He was a bit more fun, I think, in the X-Men universe, because, you know, there was that fantastic scene where he's running around and he has the glasses on and he's picking up a drink and getting something to eat, but he's still doing all the work.
They had two different origin stories, didn't they, in the two films, which was the core, like.
Even though they're the same person, they two completely different origin stories. But in terms of, you know, you've got this massive group now, and you look at like Infinity War, and you've got so many characters.
We haven't even touched on the Guardians that are thrown in there as well.
And I'm putting it there. Guardians were, in a way, a pivotal role. They had a pivotal role in Infinity War, but like that, they were just kind of thrown in. There wasn't really much of them. You know, obviously you've got the stuff with Gamora, and then the fight on Titan with Thanos and everyone coming together. So you've got all of that together, and now you've got the X-Men, and you could possibly have the Fantastic Four coming in as well. What team-ups would you like to see with those? Would you like to see the likes of... God, I've just gone blank now. Let's say Wolverine.
Yeah.
Who would you like to see Wolverine kind of with?
This might be controversial. I don't like Wolverine.
Oh.
I thought Logan, I hated it.
I personally didn't like the Logan film.
Oh, good. You're the first person I've met.
Yeah. For me, it was just like, and there are people that are going to listen to this, and one of them being a guy that was on the show already, Mr. Vic Viper, absolutely adores Wolverine. I did not like Wolverine.
Yeah, I think it stems from the fact that I don't love X-Men, so I don't love Wolverine. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like, I love Deadpool, but I love Deadpool on his own, not the Deadpool that was in Wolverine.
Yeah.
It never clicked with me.
the Deadpool and Wolverine was the worst thing to ever happen to a film ever.
Ryan Reynolds is legit one of the funniest people in the world.
Yes.
Why would you close his mouth?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't get it. Like,
that's why I love the current thing. And a lot of people have been saying what they would love to see is, and I will neither confirm or deny whether this actually happens or not, but they would love to see Deadpool in a after credit scene for Endgame. Just kind of run in and go, sorry I'm late. That merger took far too long. What did I miss?
Yeah.
That type of thing. I think out of every character you could bring in from that merger, and obviously they've made this merger for a reason. They now have The Simpsons, and they have everything that they can put onto their now lovely big platform that they're trying to rival Netflix with. You've got Deadpool, and I think out of everybody, Deadpool will very happily slot in to the MCU. Whether he be like an Avenger or whether he's kind of like an anti-Avenger or whatever it may be. Would you like to see Deadpool part of the group?
Yeah, I think I would. Deadpool sits really well with me because even though I love my heroes pure as pure, I like my villains to have shades of grey. I like justified heels. I don't like cocky heels. I don't like cool heels. I like justified heels. Killmonger in Black Panther. Love him. Yeah. He was actually right, you know? Yeah. He just went about it a terrible way. Panos. I get what he's saying about wiping out half the universe to make it better for the other half. Went about it a terrible way.
Absolutely.
Why not just double the resources instead of killing half the people? But Deadpool's kind of like that for me because, like Cable, Juggernaut, you know, they're not straight down heels. They're justified as well. So I think Deadpool would slot in really, really well with the MCU. And again, just because Marvel are so known for their humour and action blend, that's Deadpool all over.
Now, the one thing about Deadpool is that people love Deadpool, but people love Deadpool because he's rated or he's over 18.
Yeah.
Do you think they could slot him into the MCU and take away that, or does it have to be rated R?
I think if they use it sparingly, it could be fine. They could do the whole things like every time. Like imagine him in a scene with Captain America and he's about to swear and Captain America's telling him not to. You know, they could bounce off each other really, really well.
That would be fantastic. I would love that.
So I think if they use them sparingly, they don't even have to go rated R. Or you know what, they could just go balls to the wall and have one rated R film just to get full Deadpool. But I don't think they have to.
Okay. There is now. I don't think there's been a petition made, but there's something that a lot of Marvel fans have been asking for, and unfortunately, within the last year we lost Stan Lee, and I think this was a big fear for a lot of Marvel fans because he was something that people look forward to, and seeing his little cameo in every single Marvel film. But unfortunately, now he's gone, and it was confirmed that his last scene is for Endgame, and I suppose it's very fitting that his last scene is for Endgame. But a lot of people have been asking, okay, we can't have Stan Lee anymore. Why don't we have Deadpool replace him? And I personally think Stan Lee would look at that and go, I approve.
Yeah,
because that would be badass.
Yeah.
He just kind of turns up in every single film. You're like,
yeah,
fuck off, Deadpool. We're sick of you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And that would be like the Marvel heroes saying that. And obviously the fans are like, yes, there's Deadpool. They want to see him in all these films. I think he's the most anticipated person in terms of this merger. He's the most anticipated person in MCU. So you believe he would slot in there? Not so much, maybe a little bit of rated R, but it's not essential.
Yeah,
it's not essential. And I think they proved that when they brought out Once Upon a Deadpool, because it was the not rated R version of Deadpool. Even though I sat down with my son, who's 8, and he said, "I can finally watch it, Daddy." I was like, "Yeah, no problem at all. It's not rated R." And 5 minutes into the film, I have to turn this off because there were certain things said. I'm like, "No, that's really not for kids. It's really, really not for kids." Even though they took away the language and a lot of the filth and whatever else was in it, there was still stuff said. I was like, Ryan Reynolds, this is definitely not for children.
Yeah,
there's no way. But you've got obviously the excitement of the merger now and the possibilities that are coming. You watched Infinity War. What are you expecting from Endgame? What would you like to see from Endgame? Now, I just want to point out, okay, we're recording this. It's now Wednesday. We're recording this. It is the 24th. I always look at my watch for the 24th.
Yeah.
24th. It's out today. You're going to see it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time this is broadcast, you will have seen it.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from Endgame?
Oh, I can tell you what I don't want to see first. Okay. I don't want to see Captain Marvel come in and save the day single-handedly. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way it's been set up, that she's the big game changer. I don't want to see that.
Okay.
For me, because she's so new,
Yeah.
it's a case of like, well, no, I actually have all my time and energy invested in all these other characters. I don't want you to come in and do like the save at the end, you know, the big run in that. No, I'm not interested in that.
It'd be a big disservice to all the heroes that we've spent 10 years watching.
Yeah.
For her to come in and go, I'm the big bad boy now. You're fine now. I'm just saving
Yeah.
the day.
We've established Thor as the MVP of battles, kind of, who comes in and saves people last minute, and I'm fine with that. So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see either the time zone reversing things.
Okay.
I just think that would be a cop-out.
Okay.
So I don't know how creative they're going to get about the finish.
It's a 3-hour movie. This is the longest movie in it, so there's you're looking at, you look at 2 hours movie and think, what could they do in 2 hours? This is a 3-hour movie. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There is a lot for them that they could possibly do. And you haven't seen any of the trailers.
Oh, sorry, I have seen one trailer,
seen one
and that's
trailer.
why I stopped watching it.
Okay.
Because in the trailer, I realised Iron Man got out of space, and I was like, well, that's killed that bit of wonder for me, you know? And it also let me know that it doesn't take up immediately after. Like, they go quite a bit into the future, I think, because they seem to be getting ready for something.
Okay.
Which leads me to believe, like, a good bit of time elapses in the 3 hours. It's not, like, an instant add-on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't want the time stone just to reverse things. I want nice callbacks to Infinity War. I think it's very telling that Doctor Strange didn't stop Star-Lord taking the glove, or didn't stop Star-Lord, you know, when the glove was coming off, because he did say there was only one possible outcome, I think it was. So I think that needed to happen for Doctor Strange's one positive outcome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want it to be interesting. I want it to do a good service to the last 10 years of films, or 14 years of films, or whatever it's been. I don't want it to be a simple ending. I don't want it to be anything that I've read theories about or people have predicted.
Okay.
I want it to be creative.
Yeah.
Which I know is a tall order when literally people have spent the last 2 years coming up with theories, myself included.
Well, yeah, it's you go back to Game of Thrones. There's theory after theory after theory. Just today, I read what were supposedly leaked scripts for episode 3 of Game of Thrones. And when I read them, I was like, well, that's bullshit. That's not true. That's just not true, because there was far too much in them.
Yeah.
And then when it came to the end, I was like, no, this is my predictions. And so people really get themselves invested in these things. So you got Game of Thrones, but you've also got Marvel. With this being the end of this phase of Marvel, and yes, there's lots of movies coming out. They've announced lots of movies coming along. We don't know the fate of the Avengers as a franchise, as a movie. Are we going to get more Avengers movies? We don't know yet. What would you like to see? Would you like to see a new team come out?
Yeah, I'd like to see a rebooted version, because I think there's lots of characters who are sort of in the background that deserve more spotlight. And again, like people like Black Widow and stuff, I think she could lead an Avengers team. She's probably one of the ones who's not in the rebooted one, though. I do see it more being like Scarlet Witch, Bucky, maybe Falcon, you know, people like that. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot, because we know there's another Black Panther film.
Yeah.
We know there's another Ant-Man film. So there's probably another Captain Marvel film announced.
We've got... No, they actually haven't announced...
Oh, really?
No, they've not announced Captain Marvel. They've announced Doctor Strange. They've announced Black Panther. They've announced Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was sidelined because... God, now I can never remember the director's name. He was... kicked out.
He's been reinstated,
They've been
I think.
reinstated, so it's now back on track. So they're going for that now. We've got Spider-Man, which is only about, I think it's 2 months away.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of speculation. Is that going to be before Infinity War? Is it going to be after Endgame? We don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't a clue. But he has a new movie coming out as well. And Tom Holland, unfortunately, as well, made the mistake of saying he has a third film coming out.
Yeah.
So we have so many of these films coming out.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have Doctor Strange as well. Doctor Strange only got 1. Black Panther only has 1. Captain Marvel only has 1.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy have 2. And Spider-Man has 1.
Yeah.
So much more that they can do.
Yeah.
But you believe that... you believe after Endgame we're going to have possibly a new team, or... definitely something new.
Yeah, I think a new rebooted Avengers team. I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. is doing any more films, so I don't know where Iron Man's going to fit in all this. If he is still going to do it, I can definitely see him mentoring a new team against kind of, not that he had a redemption, he was never a bad guy, but kind of passing on his knowledge, whereas he was used for weapons before, like through his father and stuff. Now it's used for good technology, you know, to
Yeah.
further the world, and also to combine the technology from Wakanda, because that's kind of been untouched a little bit as well. Like, they opened their doors to the world, so what's going to happen there with all this technology and stuff?
Let's see a bit more. Let's see how they help the world.
Yeah,
now,
let's see how that all expands.
I'd like to see that. That would be fantastic. Now, in terms of the main guys, you've got Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. All three actors have said that they want to do more. So there's no guarantee. You know, people have been speculating, oh, they're definitely going to die.
Yeah.
There's no definite in anything when it could. And even if something were to happen, when it comes to Marvel, and if you look at even the television series and the cartoons and the comics, superheroes, if they die, tend to not stay dead very long.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you saw a couple of heroes die, because there's always a way of bringing people back. Is there anyone that you would like to see die?
Ooh, like that I just don't want to be on the
You're just
superhero
like,
spectrum.
I'm just
done with you.
Yeah, I'm done.
Hawkeye would have been on that list.
Oh, wow.
I did not like him the first few appearances I seen. I just thought he was really boring. And I was like, look at you bringing a fucking knife to a gunfight. Like,
It's Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was Robin Hood. I was like, how are you destroying things? You have a bow and arrow. Fuck
Yeah,
off,
like I was like, make better choices here. But then again, I'm a sucker for a backstory. I mean, he has a little family on the farm and stuff like that. So he would have been on that list, but he's not anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anyone that I really just dislike enough to not want to see again or have no interest in.
I've two, and we talked about some of the characters having relationships and whatnot. Two for me is just like I couldn't care less whether they were brought back or whether we saw them die in Infinity War, and that was Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. Oh, they're gone. They can stay gone for all I care. I'm not going to say anything about Endgame, but I don't care. For two characters that I couldn't care less about.
Yeah. Now, it did irritate me, the end of Infinity War. I know they're in love.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to kill the person you're in love with, but if the fate of the world depends on you crushing that little stone in Vision's head, just do it.
So what you're saying is you would happily crush the stone in Phil's head?
To save the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of got you on the spot there, didn't I? Okay.
Like, to save the fate of the world is a pretty hefty thing.
Yeah.
You know? I know it was hard for it to do, and I do sympathise, but at one stage you were just like, they're coming, just do it.
Thanos is literally behind you, just fucking kill him.
And then when you see the devastation that followed, you're even more of the mindset like, why did you not just do it, you know? Same way with Star-Lord, you're like, why could you not keep your cool for 5 minutes, you know? But that's us looking back in hindsight.
Yeah. But the thing is, even when you look at that scene where Thanos finally gets to Wakanda, and you're like, just kill him, it literally made no difference.
Yeah.
Because all Thanos had to do was rewind it, walk up a bit closer, brush her away and take the stone, and that was that.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of Infinity War, a lot of characters went into dust, and that was that. You know what the absolute craziness of what Endgame is going to be, because you've a 3 hour. It's not going to be a 3 hour bore fest. It's going to be a 3 hour. It's going to be 3 hour WrestleMania, the best WrestleMania you could think of. That's what it's going to be. It's absolutely going to. They're going to pack it full. They're going to make sure you leave the cinema happy. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think everyone's going to be happy?
I think their intention is probably to make everyone leave happy, but everyone just has such different favourite characters. It's like Game of Thrones. We all want someone different to end up on the throne, so someone's always not going to like it.
I think in terms of that, I don't think anyone's going to be happy. I genuinely believe that no one is going to be happy at the end of Game of Thrones. Yeah,
well, I fully believe it's going to end in a democracy and no one on the throne or complete and utter destruction.
A democracy, I wouldn't mind a democracy. That wouldn't bother me at all. But what I don't want to see in terms of Game of Thrones is for every single really good character to be dead and we're us to be left with like a lame duck.
Yeah.
For me, like that. It's going to sound really bad because I said lame duck, but Bran on the throne would be dire for me. I would hate that.
Yeah.
Even Sansa.
Oh, I can't have two Sansa arguments in one night.
No,
she's my favourite.
Don't worry. Me and you will have that argument next week. We'll have an argument next week. I don't. In terms of Endgame, I think they've gone out. They're going to go out of their way to make as many people as happy as possible.
Yeah.
But I don't think, there's so many characters.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone's going to be happy.
I'm going in with a very open mind. I'm not going in saying, I want this person to live, this person to die. I want, as I said before, I want a nice resolution to this story that I've invested 10 years of my life into. Whether that be good, whether that be bad. Like, sometimes a sad ending isn't a bad ending. If everything comes full circle and there's some closure.
Oh, absolutely. Like a heroic ending.
Yeah.
That's I would be fine with that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example.
It's not a shitty heroic ending.
Yeah.
I want, massive sacrifices and, blah, blah, blah. That's what I want. I don't want people just to die for the sake of dying. I want massive sacrifices. But I think most people will be happy with the ending. Right, so, Katey, what we've got now is, okay, at the end of every little talk that I have with people...
Oh, God.
We have our mastermind quiz, okay? Now, generally, when people do the mastermind quiz, it kind of, people kind of get about 50-50, Our illustrious leader, Mr. Nash, he just walked past me. It's okay, I can talk about him again. Our illustrious leader, Mr. Rick Nash, has the worst record so far.
Oh, until now.
he thought he was the be-all and end-all of Harry Potter. He was not. So I know I have a couple of questions for you. Now, I have 10 questions.
Okay.
The majority of them are on your chosen subject, which is Captain America.
Oh, shit.
Take your time. There is no time limit on this. I don't have a countdown clock. I'd love a countdown clock, but I don't have a countdown clock. So I'm going to start off with, okay? It's a Winter Soldier question.
Oh, God, okay.
In Winter Soldier, who goes on a secret mission in the very beginning of the film to the Indian Ocean with Captain America?
Oh, shit, I can't remember this. Oh, my God.
I'll give you a little bit of a back thing, okay? Very start of the film, Winter Soldier, they're on a boat.
Oh, my God, I'm genuinely drawing a blank. Oh, this is where everyone finds out I'm a sham. Hey, who went on a boat with Captain America at the start of the Winter Soldier? I have a phone a friend in this, right?
There is no phone of friends.
Keane would have actually been like more of a help than myself here.
Mr. Nash is looking on my shoulder. He can't read my writing. There's no way you can read that. Oh,
Well, of course, you just read it.
You realise it now, do you? Yeah, he realises it now. Like.
TV screen? Oh. Screen? Black?
Yeah.
Black Panther. Is this a race thing? No? Okay.
It's never a race thing. Never, no. There is no race thing in low blows. I just want to put that out there.
Look, mark it down where to go.
Okay. I'm going to give you a chance, okay? I'll say the question again and think about what he said. Okay? In Winter Soldier, who goes on a secret mission to the Indian Ocean with Captain America?
Black Widow.
Yay! You could have just said it.
Instead of a quiz, let's just do charades.
Let's do charades. He would be the worst at charades. Okay, question 2. And I'm glad you got question 1 because question 2 involves question 1. Where do Captain America and Black Widow review... God, I can't even read my own writing. There we go. Review info given to them by Nick Fury in Captain America. In Winter Soldier.
It's in like a Apple store, isn't it?
Ding, ding. Yeah, that's 2 out of 2.
That was a slightly romantic scene, so that's in my head.
Yeah, you only need one more to beat him. So you're doing well. This one should be an easy one as well. Who had Captain America's shield at the end of Civil War?
No one. It was in the ice. No?
Is that your final answer?
He went to kill...
At the end of Civil War, think of the end of Civil War. Think of what happens at the end of Civil War.
So he went to kill Tony Stark, but he didn't. He threw it in the ice, and then he walked off.
What did he say to Tony?
I don't know. Goodbye? Does Tony Stark have it then?
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, just 3 for 3.
Okay. It's taken me a while to get there, but I'm getting there.
Okay. Another Winter Soldier question. Whose father is killed during the ratification of the Sokovia Accords?
Oh, T'Challa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 for 4. Wow. Now, come here. I have to point this out, okay? You're now beating him, so you're now above Rick Nash.
Okay, that's fine. I can breathe now.
you need 4 more good answers out of the next 6 to tie with Foxy.
And what was Foxy's subject?
His was Pokemon.
Okay.
And that was 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay, so you get 4 more.
Okay. I'm beating you.
So, in the first Captain America, during Captain America's training, Colonel Phillips throws a grenade at his troops. What does Captain America do?
Dives on it.
5 for 5. You are kicking the crap out of him. Absolutely. See, I told you they weren't that hard. You know, I've been harder on other people. Poor El Kigo came in, and I had to help him get 4 right. Okay. In Infinity War, who does Captain call Earth's best defender?
Earth's best defender. The Avengers. As a collective, no?
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
You got one wrong. He calls Iron Man Earth's best defender.
Oh, that's not true.
So.
That's obviously why it didn't enter my head as a fact.
Katey, we've had a lovely chat. Let's not ruin it, because we will get into a fight. Now, in fairness, I know you'd beat my ass, but still.
Oh no, I don't have elbows at the moment, so you probably win.
A nice armbar, that'll do. What is Stan Lee doing in Infinity War?
Oh, in Infinity War, shit. Okay. Oh my god, all I can think about is this Captain Marvel scene. Because it popped me, because I love Mallrats. Oh god, I can't remember this one. No, I think I'm going to have to tap out on this one.
I'll give you...
Is he on a news thing?
On a what?
Like a newscast? No?
No. Go on, I'll give you one more guess.
Captain Marvel is on a bus. Oh no, I can't think. I've gone blank.
You're slightly wrong with what you said there. In Infinity War, he's driving the bus.
Ah!
And in Captain Marvel, I think he's on the subway.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Or on the train, or whatever it was. Okay, well, so you're 2 down now, okay? So you can tie with Foxy if you get the next 3 questions right.
Okay.
And they're not that hard. Okay.
Just say I'm not, and then laugh.
I said they're not that hard, and then laugh. During the Battle of Wakanda, Steve Rogers introduces himself to a Guardian of the Galaxy. Who did he introduce himself to, and what did he say?
I think it was Drax. No? Not Drax?
Not Drax.
Star-Lord?
No. Think of Battle of Wakanda. Think of who was there.
Who was there at the Battle of Wakanda?
Who came with Thor? It was a...
Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket and...
Groot.
Yeah. It was a funny bit right in the middle of
Oh,
the
I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
There you go. Okay, so I didn't help you with that at all. In Infinity War, which hero becomes an Avenger? He's officially becomes an Avenger.
Spider-Man.
Ding ding. One more.
Okay.
Your last question. You get this, you tie with Foxy, and then we will have to have a shootout between the two of you.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Now, I guarantee you, he's going to be listening to this, because ever since I said I was going to be doing a Marvel one with you, he said, I have to listen to that. I really want to listen to
Hi,
that. Love
Foxy.
Marvel.
Sorry for being a sham.
Now, this one might be different. It's the last question. Infinity War question.
Okay.
It's not Captain America. Okay? It's not a Captain America question. During the fight on Titan, who is the only person to make Thanos bleed?
Bleed.
Bleed. Rick is sitting there laughing.
Okay, so let me picture where everyone was.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange was on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Mantis was on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Star-Lord was just
Being Star-Lord.
there. Who else had him? Spider-Man have? No. Mantis? Was it Mantis? Some kind of mind control nosebleed thing? Shit.
Go ahead.
I
Give you a clue.
Okay.
He says afterwards, all that work for one cut.
All that work for one cut. That was not a clue. I'm more confused. I was like, what did he do to cut him? What is all this work? Wolverine?
Wolverine.
All this work for one cut. Nah, I can't think.
Oh, you'd be.
I'm trying to think of who's even on Titan. Who's left up there? Spider-Man's up there.
Yeah.
Star-Lord, Drax? Iron Man? Iron Man? Iron Man.
Is Iron Man your guess?
I'll say it with more confidence. Iron Man.
Iron Man is your guess. Is it your final answer?
Yeah.
You're tying with Foxy. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. So we're going to have you back on and have a little debate with Foxy and see who comes out on top on that one. But Katey, thank you very much for being on the show. We wanted to get you on for so long. I'm only sorry that Dave isn't here because we would have a great laugh with Dave as well. But thank you for being on the show, and I really hope you enjoy Endgame.
I'm so excited now. This is perfect timing now to lead me into Endgame. So
what I'm going to leave you with is they all die. I wasn't joking. Everyone died. All dead. Thanos wins, and he lives on a little farm for the rest of his life.
Sits on the Iron Throne. That's how it ends. Most nerdiest crossover in history.
Oh, absolutely. But Katey, absolutely, thank you so much for being on. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely loved this one because it is something I absolutely love, which is Marvel. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Katey, for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Gerry, you've been Nerdy, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks very much.